Today we really want to take advantage of a day that's supposed to be in the high 40s, the low 50s, sunny. It should be a great day for painting, and I'm hoping we can take full advantage of it because I want to get these lowers in final clear and get them buffed out. And it's so important for me during this time of year to take advantage of every day that's a paintable day, because boy, that can end in a hurry. And that's why we leapfrog, of course, because you never know what weather's coming and you never know what projects we'll be able to work on, what parts. So we always try to have something ready to paint, something ready to sand, and when that good day comes, like a day like today, we could do some painting. So this is the way this works. It's 35 degrees out there now, but it's slated. It's slated to go up into the maybe mid to high 40s. So we want to take advantage of that. And that's cause for an extra cup of coffee. And probably the birds are getting a little chilly out there now as we, in the evening, it's below freezing. We get up in the morning, there's frost, and these birds are ready to eat. And I'm ready to go to work. Oh, our parts have been drying up by the heating vent. Oh, and that heat, believe me, last night was cold. That heat never shut off. So those parts should be ready. They've been up there. This is about the third, I think this is the third day. And they should be ready to wet sand. A little look at our handiwork from the other day, and boy, that's the finish I'm looking for basically any part that I refinish on a motorcycle. I want it to look like that. And those are solid carbon fiber parts. Those are not plastic. They should really be one of the focal points of the motorcycle when it's reassembled. And Turbo Steve is still out there in sunny California, probably surfing on the beach or riding around on a Honda 350 or something, but when he gets back, his tank's ready to go. So the first thing is to get some soapy water, some 2000 grit paper, and finish that coffee. And what comes first, the wet sanding or the coffee? Now, the first thing I'm looking for on a part, since this is a relatively big part, I want to establish all the flat areas I can do with a block. Some of the areas I'm going to have to do by hand, and some I'm going to have to be very delicate around these corners and edges. But the biggest thing here is we want to establish a nice smooth base for those last coats of clear. And I want to get rid of as much of the paint edge as I possibly can. So to do that, of course, it's time consuming. It's like, I always use the analogy, it's like mixing concrete. And there's not that I have ever found, there's no shortcut and there's no substitute for just the good old-fashioned sanding block. And you take your time, never rush, have that extra cup of coffee. But the minute you try to do this kind of work and you set some kind of unrealistic time window or schedule, first off, you don't have fun, you don't enjoy it. Now, if you're getting paid, well, that's a different story. But unfortunately, those of us in the homeless painting community, we don't get paid. So Karen has not given me a paycheck in almost 30 years now. So, but anyway, just to make a point, I wanted to do one little spot on this. Again, real time, one little spot just to show what I'm trying to do. Then I can do the rest of it or most of it off camera, except for the little things that may be good tips, like where could I use a hard block. A lot of spots here I'm going to have to, like in these fins, get in here with my fingers or make little dowels or something to get in there. Complicated part, and you can see this is why, when you paint this part, or not paint it, you mold it in flat black and put it on a bike. Hey, the Kawasaki loves that. The more flat black parts they can put on a bike, it's more money in their pocket. When they have to paint something, it doesn't make the bike any cheaper. So, and that's what's going to separate our motorcycle from the one you buy in a store that just everybody else has the same bike, the same color, the same trim, the same everything. And if that's not important to you, then some people, and I understand motorcycling is like a buffet. You will go, and if you like to go dirt bike riding, for instance, I did when I was younger, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. If I went now, you better have an ambulance. Or some crutches anyway, or a wheelchair. But that's the whole point. It's a buffet. You pick the whatever part of motorcycling entertains you. And in this case, I like having a bike that's unique. It's a little different. It's got to be fun to ride. And it's got to be an enjoyable, reliable bike. Not something that's a constant maintenance nightmare. Or something that I can't get parts for easily. Something I have to go to, Uzbekistan to get a kickstand for it or something. I like having stuff I can work on. That's one of the key things. Okay, so we've done this. I wanted to show this in real time, and then we can get on with the day. Now, you can see one thing, and I'm not sure you can see it. There's still a little edge around the paint edge. That's going to fill in with clear on the neck. That's why we're putting the next coat of clear on. But I don't want to go so far into this that I scratch the gold or whatever. And I can see already there's little spots, because we paint outside, there's dust and whatever. But I always say doing this step of it is, there's no other word for it. It's a labor of love. Finally, you have a little mouse that can get down in all these areas. Just labor intensive. Now, as I'm detailing out the end of this part, we're almost done with one of them. It always takes a lot of extra love and a lot of extra passion and a lot of extra coffee and whatever, but in the end, when that part is out there shining and all these edges, that is one of the things I'm fanatical about, is getting the edges radius, because that's where, if you have a razor edge, that's where paint tends to peel and crack, and as time goes by, it won't do it right away, but it'll do it eventually. Well, that's all sanded out now. All that's left is to tack rag it down, but all that's really left is to do the other part that's up by the heating vent. And I have not found any way to make that happen without having another cup of coffee and just doing it. Now, there's a couple of things in our favor today. Number one, it's getting warmer by the minute out there. It's nice, and so far it's nice and sunny. And that always helps the clear lay down. If I got a nice sunny day, I can reflect off it and candle it, and just makes spraying the clear a little bit easier. But again, to take advantage of these days, because boy, there's been times when I'm doing a restoration where I couldn't get a painting day for 2 weeks. Oh my God, there's my friend's call. That's probably Luciano telling me the puppy is misbehaving. So Luciano says the puppy's doing great. I can't wait to get up and see him. But what happened, the reason I haven't been up there, is he's been sick, and I can't take a chance of getting sick because of Karen, I think, and the baby both have a weak immune system at this time of year, and I don't want to take a chance on getting them sick because I'm not so healthy myself. Anyway, the second one usually goes a little quicker, and of course we always do enjoy hearing from our friends or sharing emails or getting these random phone calls that life is good. Now, as I'm coming up to the end of this sand out here, the weather has really gotten nice. Wow, this could have been a great riding day, but we have the baby coming early today because we're in the part of the year where I think they have a lot of half days, but it doesn't matter. Summer's coming. I always say that around November. Anyway, I'm looking for any little spot here, and you can see, I don't know if you can see, where there's still some shininess showing, and just pick away at it. This is just part of it that takes a lot of time. And if you skip this step, it's a good chance most of the people won't see it, but I see it. And that's part of, well, I'm just looking. There's another little spot down here. It's usually around the edges, because what happens, you get paint buildup from where it comes to the edge. It'll just stay there. I guess that's just the way the paint lays down there. But we're almost ready here. I'm almost ready to mix up some of that Gavco. I'm having pretty good luck with the Gavco, so. And I'm looking, here's another shine. Now see, here's a spot that I missed. And there's just no substitute for you dry the part off and go back and look for shiny spots. Dry the part off, and then ultimately when you tack rag it, you look for any spot that you have to touch up, because a lot of times you'll go through on an edge or a corner or something, and you can just, in this case, just take a little paintbrush, put a little black there. The clear will seal it right in. Nobody will ever know unless you put it on your video. you can be a hero. Everybody will think that you don't have to touch paint up. Now, as I'm tack ragging this down, I'm looking real carefully for little spots, especially on the edges that I might have gone through. Because if I put the touch-up black underneath the clear, a lot more chance it'll withstand the test of time and the buffing and everything. Because what it means is we've already got a sharp edge identified, and it'll just make it a nicer job. So I found a few little spots, just taking a drop of touch-up paint, because what this is going to allow it to do is get buried in the clear. And that's what we're looking for. And I would always wait to do this until after you tack rag it down, because this is going to be wet, delicate paint, and I don't want to go take the tack rag and make a mess out of it. I think that was one. It's always on edges. It's always there it is right here. Reminds me of my days of doing pinstriping. Wow. And I was good at it. I was so good I went out of business. Anyway, we are ready to shoot clear, and it is a banner day. It's a day I wish I was out right with another spot. See, now this is, I must have been very aggressive about sanding. I'm always pretty aggressive because I know in the end it all pays. And this is the clear we've been using, and it has been pretty much the same as the 5-star. But both of them seem to work pretty well. Now, while these parts are drying up, I think I'll take care of today's email, and hopefully the weather will hold out. I'll get the second coat on this, and that should do it. Boy, that is really nice. And look at the day. Can you imagine? Unbelievable. Yeah, we were so disappointed the other day with the storm that went through, but today made up for it. Now today our friend from Sacramento, Dallas, went out on his GS, took some pictures in the local area, and we're happy to share them on our video, of course. It's amazing the people that have these old machines, how they have a bond of friendship and common interests, and I guess anytime you go out on a ride, brings back a lot of good memories. This is one of the locations here. It looks like his leaves have already changed, or maybe they are changing, or I can't tell because I'm not familiar with that area. But I am familiar with that GS. That is a whistle clean, beautifully maintained, one-owner GS. And to be honest, that's an 83. To be honest, I think they are one of the more beautiful bikes that has ever been designed. In Dallas, this is what it looks like in our area now. The leaves are all in my pond and on the ground. It was only a month ago, and we were in beautiful orange leaves everywhere. Now it's funny, Dallas mentioned something that I agree with. He looked at the bike the year later. This is an 83, mine's an 82. And he said, but it was a Buick. And this is the exact opposite. This, I think, is one of the most beautiful motorcycles ever designed. And the 83 has the blacked out engine. He's got a lot of modifications on this. I don't have the list in front of me, but there's an awful lot of things, including the wheels, that are different. And the paint looks like we did it yesterday in my shop. And of course the black chrome exhaust system. I have the exhaust system from an 86 on mine. And of course that's one of the changes. You have to make your own. I had to make my own carbon fiber bracket for the back when you do the conversion, but it does run a little bit more free and easy breathing with that 86 exhaust. But no matter what, angle you look at this bike from. It is just beautifully done. It is a, whoever styled it, I know it was somebody that had a hand in designing the BMW R90S, don't know the gentleman's name. It's a beautiful, beautiful design. And of course the biggest difference in the 82 and the 83, the blacked out engine. That is really, Dallas, I gotta tell you, that is a whistle clean. I'm looking for some rust. There is not much. Maybe there's none. Now see, he's got a luggage rack on the back. I had a luggage rack and I made like a cafe seat at one time to put stuff in. And I still have both of them, I think. I got it from Andy Lee, who had, guess what? An 82 GS. Andy, we miss you. Looks like he's got the carbon fiber helmet, and it's kind of a Darth Vader looking helmet. That's kind of cool. Now, we featured Dallas before, and he has a love of aviation, just like I have for older planes. And he had a Grumman Tiger. I, of course, had an Air Coupe, and we've both had these wonderful GSs. Now, today the weather is supposed to be, I usually start off the day by looking at my email to see if I owe anybody any money, but this is supposed to be a rideable day this afternoon, so if we get done early in the day, maybe we'll head out on the GS. But everything here, this time of year, totally, totally unpredictable. Now, when I'm out riding my GS, a lot of times I stop at the Lincoln Park or the Caldwell Airport. Both of them have resident air coupes that are in really nice shape, and to be honest, I eat my heart out. So Dallas, I want to thank you for sharing the pictures and for being part of the A-team. And boy, being at the airport with a GS, I'm not sure life gets a lot better than that. So thanks for sharing the pictures, and we got to get started at the shop. Now, while that stuff is drying up, Dallas, you inspired me. I'm inspired. Every time I see somebody that still has a passion for GSs, I think I'll jump on this and get a couple-hour ride today. We have an hour or so, well, more than an hour, 2 hours, before we have to go get the baby. Dallas. I stopped here during the day because obviously there was an air coupe here not long ago, and I don't see him here now. But I was hoping I'd get a picture of him. Doesn't look. Oh, look at what this land is. It's like a sea, like a modern version of a sea beach. Anyway, cool little spot. So we're back from a very short ride. Not really that short, a couple hours. But it is time to get the baby. But I wanted to show, this is why, even though my pond is full of leaves, and I'm gonna have to work on that later today, and my driveway is full of leaves, but look what I got. See, when you come home from a ride, and Dallas, I only went for that ride, I was inspired. Hope you enjoyed that, looked like a CB or some kind of modern CB, Osprey or something. Look at the finish drying up in the garage. So who says you can't restore motorcycles, go for a ride, and be a full-time babysitter all at the same time? And that's what makes every day an adventure and no 2 days the same. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.